Okay, so just got some new tires for the Subaru. Let's go. Got a pretty exciting day planned. Gonna go back to the house, hop in the office, jump on the computer, show you guys a breakdown of how I edited the last outdoor video that we just shot for the brand that we've been working with. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Okay guys, we are finally back at the office literally 3 days later, so yay for continuity in videos. Definitely had a few outfit changes and showers since then, but before we kind of get into the breakdown, I want to thank today's sponsors, and that is Tactical Pro Supply, the company that we have been shooting the pictures for. You've seen them in our last video, also the video that we're going to be breaking down today. Tac Pro, they are awesome dudes. John and the crew, they love American. They have some sweet merch. So I'm repping the Tac Pro hat tonight, also the Tac Pro shirt. There'll be links down below if you want to get yourself some sweet America friendly merch. Let's go. But without further ado, let's go ahead and watch the video in its entirety. It's only 34 seconds long because this is an Instagram and TikTok friendly video. That's why we shot it vertical, and we're going to get into that here in a second. But I want you guys to see the whole video first. Then we're going to do the breakdown, number one, of how we storyboarded it, coloring, everything like that. So let's go ahead and watch this video together. I love the table saw. Do a close-up of Jared's face. Speed ramp. Sound effects were fun on this one because we had the table saw and the whooshes. Wood chips flying everywhere. Oh yeah. Best drop. Hat toss, done. Yeah. Okay, so that was the video in its entirety, and like I said, that was a very fun shoot to do. So we knew right off the bat we were gonna have to change the story just a little bit, and the reason I say that is because this is an outdoor company. However, the weather did not cooperate with me and Jared the week that we had planned to shoot it, so we actually had to come up with the idea, you know, keeping with a rugged mentality like this brand represents. You know, how about a guy working in his wood shop, you know, sawing some boards, something that's still, you know, pretty masculine to do, I guess you would say, for this brand. So yeah, we literally went down to Jared's garage where he has a workbench set up. He's got the table saw and everything. I told him, hey, let's just run some boards through it, get some sweet video of that, and it ended up working out. So as far as the story goes, it was fairly simple. Man working in his wood shop, just getting some timber cut up, and once he's done, hey, tossing the hat, I'm done for the day. So that was really the story, but I think it's very important to do some storyboarding before you start shooting videos. And another thing that's very important with that is you need to go ahead and select your songs. And so with this one, we picked the music first. Before we started writing down our ideas, before we decided what we were going to do with shots and everything, we found a song. Actually, we culminated it down from 3 that we had picked, and that's the one that ended up being the winner because we liked the pace of it. We definitely liked the beat. It was easy to cut to. So definitely pick out your music first. That helps whenever you're editing. Then you can actually cut to the beat, and while you're filming, you can have that song playing so you have an idea in your head of how your shots are going to flow. So remember that. Music first. Start your storyboarding. Have some ideas. It's a whole lot easier of a process instead of coming in, running a gun, and having a bunch of different shots and then trying to cut something out of that. I've done it and it does work to a degree, but it's a whole lot easier when you have, you know, 10 or 15 shots to culminate versus 30 or 40 when it comes to shooting a commercial especially. So storyboarding, music. Secondly, let's talk about the sound effects from this. So as you heard, we have the table saw, we have Jared's breath blowing the wood chips off of the table, we have some whooshes, we have some bass drops in there whenever the hat hits the table. Sound effects mean so much when it comes to shooting a video that you want to have impact. Think about this. What would have happened had that video not had any sound effects, if we didn't have the table saw, if we didn't even have him breathing to blow the chunks off of the table? How boring of a video would that have been? It would have been a sweet song, you know, maybe some cool looking shots and some speed ramps and stuff, but there would have been no life to it. So remember, sound effects are a part of the visual experience as well. Whenever people hear, it helps them see. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it makes sense, trust me. Now, going on to the focal lengths that we used for this video. The first focal length that we used was my Fuji 23mm f2. Everything was shot on the X-T3. The reason I like that 23mm f2, number one, it's sealed, so we did have a lot of wood chips and stuff flying around. It's great that that lens is sealed, but secondly, the reason we use that lens is because it's about a 35mm equivalent to full frame, and that is one of my favorite focal lengths ever. It's not so wide that it gets weird, and it's not so tight that you can't see what's going on. It offers a good in-between. zoom. We also use the Canon Nifty 50 adapted to the Fuji, and I absolutely love this combo. The 50 with the X-T3 is hard to beat. So I use the Fringer adapter, as most of you guys know from one of my earlier videos, and that Fringer works flawlessly. I was pretty much able to use autofocus for all the face shots of Jared, and then whenever we did have to back out, I just manual focus just to be safe. But that's the only two focal lengths that we use, so it worked out in that space because it was a little bit tighter space, and we wanted to make it feel bigger with the 23, but whenever we needed the tight shots, I was able to use the 50 to punch in on Jared. So now one of the most fun things to talk about, and that was the in-camera transitions, and that's right, I said everything was in camera. I like doing things in camera because to me it makes it easier in post. If I know that I'm coming in and out of black for everything that I do, it's gonna make an easy transition. So I didn't use anything flashy in After Effects. Literally all I had is, imagine the Shinobi here and my X-T3 being vertical. I used the Shinobi as a grip so that I had everything nice and stable. And if I was panning out of a shot, I would whip it to black, or I could tilt up to black, down to black, whatever it was. But everything that I did for those transitions, I went to black. So as you saw from one of the shots coming down the table and then out from the light, that was a transition to black. So into black and out of black into the next shot. It makes things so smooth. I love doing in-camera transitions. Daniel Schiffer, he's a master of this, and I really learned a lot from watching his videos on that. So I think it worked out for this video, especially when you couple that with a speed ramp, you add some motion blur in there, and obviously the whoosh effect, it really sells that transition. So remember that if you're wanting some cool transitions that you don't have to have any fancy, software for, use your camera. Do some whips, do some stuff to black and then back out of black. It always looks good, it always looks clean, so long as you do it the right way. But like I said, I really feel like it worked for this video. And really the last aspect to this video that I want to talk about was the coloring of it. Now, we did not do any big fancy color grade. I typically like to keep things fairly clean. If you remember my last video talking about the photo shoot that we did for TAC Pro, I keep my photos clean. I also like to keep my videos clean. So what you guys saw right there with that final color grade was actually the Fuji F-Log to wide dynamic range conversion LUT for F-Log with some tweaks that I do in the computer. So all I did was bump the saturation a little bit more, push some oranges, and that was really it. It is a very simple grade. I didn't do any crazy filmic type stuff or any big teal orange. It just didn't really fit. We wanted this to be really clean, and it's very contrasty too because we had such a dark setting and then one big key light overhead. It really lent itself to having a very simple grade with good contrast. So that's one thing that I would say too, guys, when it comes to shooting your videos, especially if you're doing commercial work, keep it clean, keep it simple. You don't want to do anything too extreme because you got to think of the customer. You may like the creative color grade that you did, they may not. They may need something clean because they're going to be blasting it across different media platforms. So in closing, I want to encourage you guys to do this. Reach out to companies, ask if they need commercials shot for them. I've really enjoyed our relationship that we've had with Tactical Pro Supply. They've been fun to work with. They give us consistent work, and I love their merch. Like I said, they love America, and so do I. So it's a good relationship. And guys, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and want to see more just like it, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I love growing this community here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see you in the next.